The Veblen Paradox, why we destroy our wealth to look wealthy. Picture yourself walking into a high-end retail store on a busy Saturday afternoon. You spot two identical white t-shirts folded perfectly on a display table right next to each other. Both shirts are manufactured from the exact same premium cotton, stitched in the exact same factory using identical production methods, and serve the exact same practical function of covering your torso. One shirt has a simple generic tag on the back and is priced at just $10, making it an absolute bargain for quality cotton fabric. The other shirt has a small red rectangular logo embroidered on the chest and carries a price tag of $500, which is 50 times more expensive than its identical counterpart. According to every single fundamental law of economics you were taught in high school economics class, the rational human being should immediately purchase the $10 shirt and laugh at the absurdity of anyone paying $500. The law of demand is one of the bedrock principles of capitalism and economics. It clearly states that as the price of a good increases, the demand for that good should decrease proportionally. We are taught that humans are rational actors who seek value, efficiency, and the best possible deals for our money. We are utility maximizers who make logical purchasing decisions. But we all know with absolute certainty that this is not what happens in the real world, no matter how much economic theory says it should. In reality, the $500 shirt sells out instantly within hours of release, often before most people even know it exists. Thousands of people line up overnight on the cold sidewalk, camping out in sleeping bags, just for the privilege of handing over their rent money to purchase this absurdly overpriced garment. If the brand suddenly decided to lower the price to a reasonable $20, demand would collapse immediately and nobody would want it anymore. The demand exists specifically and exclusively because the price is irrationally and astronomically high, not in spite of it. This is a fundamental glitch in the human operating system that keeps millions of hardworking people perpetually broke, trapped in cycles of debt and financial struggle. This psychological trap is called the Veblen Paradox, named after an economist who discovered why we sabotage our own financial futures. Understanding conspicuous consumption. To understand why we destroy our wealth to look wealthy, we must travel back in time to the year 1899 and meet a brilliant but acerbic economist named Thorstein Veblen. He looked carefully at the stratified society surrounding him during America's Gilded Age, observing the extreme wealth displays of families like the Vanderbilts and Rockefellers. He realized that the standard economic models taught in universities were fundamentally wrong in their understanding of human behavior and purchasing decisions. Mainstream economists assumed that humans were purely utility maximizers, meaning we buy things solely because they serve a practical purpose and provide measurable value. A coat keeps you warm during winter, a car gets you reliably to work, and a plate holds your food at dinner time. But Veblen observed people buying ornate silver spoons that were so heavy and unwieldy they were literally impossible to eat with comfortably. He watched wealthy women purchase corsets so restrictively tight that they made it physically impossible to breathe normally or move freely. He realized that utility and practical function were not the point at all in these purchasing decisions. The actual point of these purchases was waste, the deliberate and public squandering of valuable resources to demonstrate power and status. Veblen coined the term conspicuous consumption to describe this strange but powerful human behavior that drives so much of our economic activity. The core idea of conspicuous consumption is beautifully simple. In a stratified society with clear class divisions, the most efficient and visible way to prove you possess high status is to publicly and deliberately waste valuable resources. If you can afford to purchase a luxury watch that tells time no better than a basic $10 Casio, but costs as much as a Honda Civic automobile, you are sending an incredibly powerful signal to everyone in your social tribe. You are communicating to them, I have such an abundance of resources and wealth that I can afford to set fire to piles of money and still survive comfortably without any hardship. The price becomes the product. This understanding brings us to the core mechanism that makes the Veblen Paradox so psychologically powerful and financially destructive. In a normal market economy, Price functions as a barrier or obstacle. It is the pain and cost you must endure and accept to obtain the product you desire. But in a Veblen market, where status signals matter more than utility, the price itself becomes the actual product and the primary source of value. If Rolex suddenly decided to maximize efficiency and lower manufacturing costs by selling their watches for only $200, which is far closer to the actual material and labor cost of producing them, something shocking would happen. They wouldn't sell significantly more watches. They would actually go out of business entirely because the exclusivity would vanish. The moment a Rolex watch becomes affordable and accessible to an assistant manager at the local grocery store, it loses its entire utility and purpose as a status signal for the wealthy CEO. The true value of the Rolex is not in the mechanical gears and precision engineering inside the watch case. The true value is in the exclusion, in the fact that most people cannot have it, which makes having it special and noteworthy. We crave and desire these luxury items not because they are objectively better quality or more functional, but simply because they are difficult to obtain and expensive. This creates what economists call an inverted demand curve, where raising the price actually increases desire and demand for the item. A higher price creates a stronger financial barrier that keeps out more people, which creates a more exclusive and selective club of owners, which makes the status signal exponentially more valuable and meaningful. It is a feedback loop of pure irrationality that drives prices to absolutely astronomical levels, completely detached from any objective reality or actual product quality. The pecuniary emulation trap. But here's the real tragedy of the Veblen Paradox. It traps the middle class in a game they are mathematically guaranteed to lose over time. The wealthy elites, the true leisure class that Veblen wrote about extensively, can afford to purchase these luxury status goods using only their surplus capital and excess wealth. When a billionaire purchases a $300,000 luxury car, it represents nothing more than a rounding error in their total net worth and financial position. The purchase does not meaningfully affect their ability to compound wealth, grow their investments, or maintain their financial freedom. But the middle class looks up at these wealthy elites and begins to mimic their purchasing behavior in an attempt to signal that they too are successful and wealthy. This psychological phenomenon is called pecuniary emulation, the desperate attempt to copy the consumption patterns of those above you on the social hierarchy. You purchase the luxury car you cannot truly afford, the designer bag that strains your budget, and the latest iPhone model, not because you can legitimately afford them. You buy these things because you are terrified of looking poor or unsuccessful to others around you, afraid of what people will think if you don't have the right status symbols. You literally finance the appearance and illusion of wealth by destroying the actual mechanism and foundation of real wealth creation in your life. You trade your actual compounding assets, your stocks, your index funds, your precious 401k contributions, for depreciating liabilities that lose value every single day. You sacrifice your financial future just to send a signal to strangers and acquaintances that you're doing okay and that you're successful. Our evolutionary wiring. This biological drive to signal status through consumption is rooted very deep in our evolutionary history as a species. We are social primates, and for millions of years throughout human evolution, your social status directly equaled your survival chances and reproductive success. Consider the peacock bird, which grows an enormous, cumbersome, and brightly colored tail that makes it far harder to fly and escape predators. Why would evolution favor such a costly and dangerous adaptation? Because it signals to female peahens, "Look at me carefully. I am so genetically fit, so incredibly strong, and so healthy that I can survive and thrive even with this massive handicap weighing down my back." Conspicuous consumption in the modern human world is the direct equivalent of the peacock's elaborate tail display. We buy the giant mansion with a heated swimming pool that we rarely or never use, and we finance the high-maintenance luxury car that breaks down every 6 months, requiring expensive repairs. We do these things to signal our fitness and strength to the tribe around us, to prove we can afford these handicaps. We are literally handicapping our own financial survival just to prove to others that we are strong enough to survive despite this handicap. How marketing hijacks your brain. In the modern world, this ancient instinct has been hijacked and weaponized by marketing departments and advertising agencies that understand your brain better than you understand it yourself. These marketing experts know that if they create artificial scarcity, like Hermes does deliberately with the Birkin bag, they can trigger that primal status anxiety deep in your brain. Lizard brain. They force you to beg and purchase other luxury products just for the permission to spend $10,000 on a single handbag, exploiting your evolutionary need for status. They have weaponized your own biology against your financial well-being and future security. The danger of the Veblen Paradox is that the goalposts of status and success are constantly moving and shifting. Veblen himself described what he called the treadmill of consumption, an endless cycle where you can never actually catch up. As soon as the middle class stretches and strains their budget to finally purchase the entry-level luxury item, the Louis Vuitton bag or the Mercedes C-Class sedan, the elites move on to something more expensive and more exclusive. They change their purchasing patterns to differentiate themselves and maintain their superior status. The logo that used to signal wealth and success becomes basic or even tacky once everyone has it and it becomes accessible. So the elites switch to quiet luxury or stealth wealth, wearing $500 cashmere baseball caps with no visible logos or branding, and the middle class scrambles desperately to catch up. They throw out all their logo-heavy gear and rush to buy the new subtle trend, starting the cycle all over again. You are running an exhausting race against people who have infinite stamina and unlimited wealth, while you are sprinting on a broken ankle with limited resources. The cruel irony. The irony is absolutely brutal and impossible to ignore. By trying to signal membership in the wealthy class through consumption, you are taking the exact specific actions that ensure you will remain poor. Overspending on depreciating liabilities and underinvesting in appreciating assets are the precise behaviors that keep people trapped in poverty and financial struggle. Every dollar you spend on status signals is a dollar you cannot compound in the stock market. Every expensive purchase is an opportunity cost, money not growing through compound interest and investment returns. The solution: opting out. So how do we break this powerful psychological spell that keeps us financially enslaved? The solution is radical and counterintuitive. You have to opt out of the status game entirely and refuse to play by its rules. You must realize and internalize that in the 21st century, true status is not stuff and possessions. True status is freedom. The person driving a 10-year-old Toyota Camry who has $1 million stashed in the bank and can quit their job tomorrow has infinitely higher actual status than the person in a brand new Range Rover who is exactly 2 paychecks away from total insolvency. One has freedom and power, the other is trapped and enslaved by their lifestyle. You must decouple your self-worth from your net worth and stop measuring your value by your possessions. You need to adopt a philosophy of stealth wealth or quiet wealth, where you understand that real wealth is invisible and intangible. The truly wealthy people I know personally, the ones who have actually won the financial game, are often the ones you would walk past in the grocery store without a second glance or thought. They don't stand out. They blend in completely with everyone else. They understand that wealth is what you don't see, not what you display on your wrists and around your neck. Wealth is the nice cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, the first-class airplane upgrades declined, the designer clothes never acquired. Wealth is financial assets that haven't been converted into visible stuff that impresses strangers. The test: would you want it alone? When you feel that magnetic urge to buy a Veblen good, that expensive item that exists primarily to be expensive, pause and ask yourself a crucial question. Am I buying this for the actual utility it provides, or am I buying this purely for the status signal it sends to others? Would you still want this item if you were literally the last person on Earth, with no one to impress and no tribe to signal to? If the honest answer is no, then you are falling directly into the trap that keeps you poor. You're sacrificing your financial freedom and future to impress people who are likely drowning in their own debt and financial problems. You're choosing short-term status over long-term wealth and security. Breaking free. Thorstein Veblen taught us that we are evolved monkeys, obsessed with shiny objects and status signals. But we have the unique human power to override that ancient programming. We can choose to value compounding and wealth building over consumption and status display. We can choose to be the master and controller of our money, rather than the slave and servant of our status needs. The most impressive signal you can send to the world isn't an expensive watch on your wrist or a designer logo on your chest. The most impressive signal is the genuine peace of mind and quiet confidence in your eyes, knowing you control your financial future. Subscribe and show your support. If this video made you rethink your next purchase and reconsider your relationship with money and status, please hit the like button to let me know this resonated with you. Subscribe to the channel for more strategies on how to hack the system, ignore the status game, and build real invisible wealth that actually lasts. Together, we can break free from the consumption trap and build the freedom that money is supposed to provide. I'll see you in the next one.